Monkey Man, and he wrote and directed it. Conceived the story as basically John Wick in Mumbai, according to him. Those are his words, is how he described it when he was like pitching it or describing the context before the movie got a lot of publicity. And back then, he was actually producing it for Netflix. But Jordan Peele watched the film and said, "This deserves a theatrical release." And wow, thank you to Jordan Peele, because this is a great original action movie to watch in theaters. So you watched it at South by Southwest. Tell us more about that.
So I go to South by Southwest to see a ton of films. I see like 4 movies a day if I can. I don't
Wow,
necessarily
yeah.
go for the bigger movies like Monkey Man. That's not why I'm there. But of course I'm going to try to see them. And so I saw that, The Fall Guy, some other big things. And so I got there for a completely packed world premiere. The audience is very excited. Jordan Peele comes out to introduce Dev Patel, so everyone's thrilled about that. And he just walks out, and Dev Patel, and he's again a lot older and scruffier than he was back, with Slumdog, but he's just so excited to be there, so touched that everyone is there. And he's talking about how they like shot some of the movie on phones because their equipment didn't work. All the like, it's cool to feel like it's a very intimate experience, because this is an intensive production. Like there are a lot of very intensely choreographed scenes, and this is again, I like most festival movies I see that are going to streamers. I'm like, they're probably better in theaters. And so I think this one, it's great that it's not going to a streamer right away, and instead is going to be a big, experience like this, because seeing it with what I described as a very bloodthirsty crowd definitely enhanced the experience.
Yeah, and I'm glad that it wasn't lost in the crowd on Netflix, because I think it's better than the typical Netflix blockbuster. Like they've had their big ones like Extraction and The Gray Man and so on. I think this one's even better. Um, and I love that the way you described that just now, because he's sort of very humble about the experience. They went through so many different challenges. You would never believe that like on a mainstream production like this, they wouldn't hide that they had to like shoot a bit on their phones even, which is crazy to me. But yeah, it's a very like humble place that like even someone like Dev Patel, like filmmaking is such an intense sort of like nothing is certain sort of experience. And it really shows through the publicity that he's done in this movie that this was his dream project, and sort of his heart and soul was in this. And I really love that of all the Netflix action movies, this was the one that got its shot on the big screen. And it's great, honestly. It's for the most part well paced. Dev Patel's great in it. It's really well directed. I love the colors. I love the action choreography. I also love that it's not bombarding you with action scene after action scene, because it gives the character a place to breathe, gives him a bit of moral ambiguity, builds the political antagonists in a very interesting and grand sort of way. And then when the action does come back, it feels like, oh, you're seeing something big and important, which I just really enjoyed Monkey Man. And yeah, what did you think? What was your reaction seeing it with again the bloodthirsty crowd and so on?
I mean, I don't crave gore and violence quite that much, but I think that the action choreography was so strong that those scenes were very engaging, and that was nice. I also think, if I remember correctly, it was a 9:30 p.m. movie, and so while I'm used to seeing some films that late, like this is one that like gets you going at that time, which is great. It's not like gonna, you don't have to get into like a period
Mm-hmm.
setting and like really try to be focused. This one sort of grips your attention, which is nice. Was not my
Yeah.
favorite of the fest, not my favorite Dev Patel film, but it's a great debut, and I think there is really an audience for it. I think there are people who like this is exactly what they're coming to see, and that's what he delivered, and that's great. That's really cool.
Yeah, and I feel like it definitely has that audience element with some like ooh sort of moments. Like my audience had some moments like that. I mean, there's I also watched this at 10 p.m., which is even later than you, I guess. Which not always my favorite time to watch a movie in theaters, but this one again gets you going. You're awake, you're engaged. But I also think it's well written, and I think one thing that action movies this year so far have been missing for me has been treating the audience like intelligent adults. There were a lot of action movies this year so far that didn't work for me. Some of it which worked for others, particularly Godzilla and Roadhouse. which I particularly hated, and not to mention Madam Web. Argyle was quite disappointing. So besides Dune 2, this is the first real great action movie of the year for me. The exposition is actually interesting as opposed to other action movies this year, and just it's fun. I think the action's actually really impressive. Again, the way it's shot is a little like John Wick inspired, but also in a really cool way. Um, it's it's like got interesting lore to the world that it's setting up. The antagonists are not too layered or memorable, but they're interesting enough to make the sort of struggle to take them down interesting. And also the character's got a little moral ambiguity to him. Like he's not like some hero. He's just kind of doing the wrong things for the right reasons and for the right groups of people. And overall for me, it's like, it's a good watch in theaters because I think it also just appeals to a lot of action movie fans who are looking for a well paced time, and all the boxing scenes also blend in really well with the story. So I'd say it's a good theater watch too. So Abe, would you like to conclude? Shout out any other gems that Dev Patel has been in as we conclude?
So I did enjoy the Best Exotic Marigold Hotel. I think that's a great light watch if you're looking for something nice and just pleasant. But I also would recommend his TV work. He's an Emmy nominee for his appearance in Modern Love, which is on Prime
Ooh.
Video. It's definitely a guest appearance, even though it's an anthology series, so he's just in one episode. But that's definitely worth checking out. But I also enjoyed him in The Newsroom, and I think The Morning Show has a lot more attention on it now because it's sort of bigger and lasting longer. But The Newsroom was a really great show. Aaron Sorkin really interesting, and he was just one of the members of the staff of this TV show. And there was some interesting stuff. I think his character's name was Neil, but definitely that's a show that unfortunately only lasted 3 seasons and probably could have gone to interesting places after that. But a different kind of turn for him, certainly different than his muscles in Monkey Man. But definitely worth checking out The Newsroom, which I believe should be streaming on Max because it's HBO, but I'm not sure if that's correct.
Yeah, that's also one where there's like a really famous clip on it um, that's like gotten a lot of YouTube views and stuff with Jeff Daniels, and I believe he won an Emmy or Golden Globe for the role. I heard good things about Modern Love, though I haven't seen it yet on Prime. Particularly, The Man Who Knew Infinity was a movie I saw in theaters back in 2016, and it's about a brilliant mathematician, Ramanujan, who he and Jeremy Irons have a great dynamic in the film. It's not some outstanding biopic, but it is really good, and he's great in it. It's sort of like A Beautiful Mind light, I would say, but I would recommend it if you like Dev Patel or Jeremy Irons or both. And then Hotel Mumbai was also one that I saw in theaters. It's got him, Armie Hammer, and it's also a true story about a hotel in Mumbai that was attacked in 2008 by terrorists, the Taj Mahal Palace Hotel. It's a really, really tense and heartbreaking sort of ensemble story that everyone is really good in. And this actor, Anupam Kher, I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, who's a terrific Indian character actor, is particularly wonderful in this movie. Jason Isaacs is also in it. So if you want a thrilling film, I'd also recommend that one. Have you seen those, by the way?
I haven't actually seen either of those.
Oh, interesting. So that recommendation goes to you as well. But
I haven't seen either of those.
yeah,
No.
I have seen The Personal History of David Copperfield. Was a little slow for me. Didn't love it, but I know it has his fans. He got a Golden Globe nomination for that as well. But anyway, we cannot wait to see what Dev Patel does next in front of and behind the camera now that he's a skilled filmmaker as well. I'd just like to conclude, Abe, by you shouting out where you can be found on the internet.
You can find me Movies with Abe on Instagram, Facebook, X, and YouTube.
All right, awesome. Thanks again, Abe, for joining. I'm really glad that we could make it work and talk about this topic. And thanks again to Dev Patel, of course, and keep doing all the great stuff that you've been doing to make audiences happy. And thanks again to you guys for watching. Let us know if there's anything that we missed or any takes here that you agree or disagree with. Who do you agree with on The Green Knight? Have you watched Monkey Man? And as always, stay tuned for more.